Today's question is more of a critique from an email we recently received for some feedback on WebStorm. It said, talking about WebStorm, get out of my way and let me think and get into the tunnel without too much distraction. The more WebStorm shows additionally to the code, the more it distracts me from my work. And this is where WebStorm fails, as well as all other IDEs. So let's teach WebStorm to get out of the way, because while this is the default installation of all the layout and everything, it's infinitely customizable as far as the UI and where things go. So the first thing you should know is that you can hide a lot of this stuff. So the toolbar is everything with the icons up there. View tool buttons. I don't need any of those. These are the ones on the outside. You can bring them back by clicking here. View status bar. Now this bar on the bottom is gone. View navigation bar. Now the nav bar is gone. And now we're pretty clean. All we have is tabs and the text. So at this point, let's make the font a bit better. I'll just show you my preferred fonts. So I go with an editor, colors and fonts. Just going to save I always name it after the scheme, default Consolis 15, because what you do is you choose a font size, and it's only going to show the monospaced fonts. And I'm going to choose Consolis 15, and then I like 0.9 line spacing. Yes, I do this a lot. And I'm also going to go into appearance, and while this is not recommended, at least it says it's not recommended here, I really love the Source Sans Pro font from Adobe for UI fonts. I set this to about 13, I think I like, and hit apply. So now it looks a bit better. Things are a bit cleaned up, nothing, no cruft or anything around the edges. So I think the next thing that most people complain about is that, there's so many errors and there's so many things like, this is not a locally stored library. There's a typo in require.js, I want to get rid of those things because I want no distractions. I want WebStorm to get completely out of the way. So what we're going to do here is show the status bar again and talk about this little guy. His name is Hector. He's Hector the Inspector. So click on him. And what power save mode is, once I click on it, it's going to say don't run any inspections anywhere on in any of my files, because it's not going to do any of the live error highlighting at all. No spelling checks, no red code if there's a semicolon before the end of the line or whatever. So to see this actually take effect on files that are currently open, because it's already run the inspections on the currently open files, you have to go File, Invalidate Caches. So invalidate and restart, and WebStorm is firing up again. And you'll see that there are no errors, no anything, and I can actually type whatever I want in here. And it's not going to throw any errors. It's just going to do syntax highlighting and code completion, and the same can still invoke refactorings and do any sort of any of the features you want to do. It's just the error highlighting is gone. You can always invoke this again by going into code. Sorry, it's code, code inspect code, and then just inspect the current file and click OK. And that'll show you, instead of showing it up here in the file, it'll show you what's going on in here, and you can jump to those lines. It's not going to highlight them in the file because you turn that off, but you can still see them here. So that's basically saying don't run the code inspection while I'm working, only run it on demand when I invoke it explicitly. So the last couple things I want to show is one thing I kind of prefer is turning the tabs off altogether. So I'm going to go into settings, editor. You know what, the easiest way to find this stuff is just Control-Shift-A and type tabs. And then editor tabs. And I'm going to say show none. You can actually just right click on the tab and say show none as well. And this will actually make the tabs go away. And let's make the breadcrumb go away as well. So breadcrumb. So we'll turn off the HTML breadcrumbs. That's these guys up here. Hit apply. Actually enclose this file and then reopen it to see that take effect. All right, so no more breadcrumbs, and we can actually even turn off this menu up here. So if I go into type menus, Control-Shift-A, menus and toolbars, main menu, select all of these, hit remove, hit apply. Now this is about as much as I could possibly do to, well, get rid of the status bar again. To hide everything. Well, I can actually get rid of these code folding things. Let's see, folding, code folding in the settings. That's the wrong one. All right, show code folding outline. Click apply. All right, so now none of those little guys are there at the edge. And you can also go in and you can customize your theme to turn off as much of the highlighting as you want. Personally, I don't like the way that it highlights some of the HTML. So we'll just go into the settings, editor, colors and fonts, HTML, and you can click on it and say, don't show that highlight in the tags. Or the tag background. Click apply, and then we should be pretty clean here without any, yeah, I actually prefer this way without the background highlighted around the tags. So this is about as clean as we can make it. There's absolutely no UI. I actually work a lot like this, and just because I know the keyboard shortcuts or I know Control-Shift-A to know exactly, or to know the general terms of where I want to get to. One thing I do show the navigation bar because it gives me a general idea of what directory I'm in, what file I'm on. If I want to navigate between tabs, I really just use Control-E to jump between recent files, and I consider that a solution for tabs rather than using tabs themselves. This shows me kind of what the tabs are. The only downside to hiding the tabs is that I can no longer drag files out. So if you look at the editor tabs again, so if we show these at the top again, I can no longer drag them out like that. And I'm actually not sure, I think I can, I do split horizontally, and then say tabs placement. I can't turn them off in here. I have to do it in the settings. Editor tabs. So if I turn them off, I'm not sure what this is going to do. Okay. But again, if you don't have a tab there to tell you what your files are, it can get pretty confusing because this is only going to relate to your main editor focused file. But usually I'm just working at one file at a time. I know a lot of people drag a bunch of files around. I kind of keep it focused on just one. So whatever your preference is, this is how to get WebStorm out of your way, focus on the code. Again, no error highlighting because we turned Hector the inspector off, and then reset. Turned all the menus off. You can get back to these side tool windows by double tapping Alt and bring any of them up, or Alt 1. Alt 1 for project, Alt 7 for structure, Alt 6. That's what will bring those menus up. So Alt 1 will show and hide that, or Alt 7 will show and hide structure, etc., etc. So there you go. That's WebStorm completely clean, and I think that's about as much as you could expect any editor, let alone IDE, to get out of your way.